What is going on, Six-Pack Abs? It's Thomas Delauer, and today we're talking about the pull-up. You see, I talk to a lot of guys that feel like they're inferior because they can't do a pull-up. They either think that they're too heavy, their body fat's too high, or their back is flat out weak. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's a little bit different from what you might think. You see, in order to understand what's going to make you have a stronger pull-up, you have to have a little bit of an understanding of the physiology and the layout and overall anatomy of the back in general. Because believe it or not, it's not exactly the back that always makes you strong with a pull-up. I've got my friend Kate here, and Kate is a fellow science nerd just like me. And since I can't exactly point to parts on my back, well, I can, but it's gonna look really contorted and weird, she's gonna point to parts of my back while I do a pull-up and kind of describe some of the anatomy of the back so you get a better understanding of what's involved with a pull-up so that you can maximize your gains and maximize the amount of pull-ups you do this summer. So let's rock and roll.
Yeah. So guys, I think the most important thing, and it's like what Thomas kind of touched on here, is it's not necessarily it's because you're weak or because your body's too heavy, which does play, obviously, that plays a huge role in your ability to do a pull-up, but it has a lot more to do with the smaller muscles that we're not thinking about, the muscles that we don't tend to actually see, which could be in that scapular region as well. But I'll point out some of the muscles that you guys can see, and we can see how we can develop that. Cool. So in this is the dead hang position right here. You can see everything's long. I'm at my longest point here with all my muscles. My rhomboids, I can see the traps, here's some rear delt, and here's the lats right here. So go ahead and do a pull-up. And as you can see right through here, we're seeing the contraction. See these muscles shaking up here? And right up under here, the lats.
So what's funny is that I didn't always have strong lats. You see, believe it or not, as a ratio to my size and my weight, my lats really even aren't that strong. It comes down to something called the serratus anterior muscles. And what that does is it kind of stabilizes your shoulder girdle. So it holds your shoulder girdle together, it holds your upper body sort of together. And if you don't have those muscles strong, it makes it very hard to align and retract your scapula enough to actually get the full range of motion with a pull-up. So even with her, for instance, show us some scapular adduction and abduction really quick while you're at the... There you go. So you can kind of see her shoulder blades kind of moving in and out. That's a perfect example of how the serratus muscles work together to actually support your upper body. Now, I'm going to head in the gym for a second. I'm going to show you some movements that you can do to strengthen your serratus anterior muscles. So this first movement that we're going to do is a simple serratus anterior hanging crunch. Now, you've probably seen these done before, and there's a couple different ways that you can do it. But I want you to focus on engaging the serratus anterior directly near your rib cage. Now, when you bring your legs up in a pendulum fashion, you can bring them up from side to side and keep the stomach somewhat sucked in. If you keep the stomach somewhat sucked in, it's going to engage that serratus muscle quite a bit more. Additionally, keep the glutes tight as well, as it's going to engage the abs in the right position as well. You'll see that I'm doing here, I am alternating going from side to side and then pulsing a couple of straight forward up and down motions. Basically what I'm doing is giving my serratus anterior a little bit of a break now and then before I switch back into the lateral movements. You can also move directly side to side if your obliques and your serratus are strong enough, but I advise that you start with a forward front to back motion before trying to position the legs in a direct lateral movement from left to right. One thing you do want to avoid is swinging. If you swing, you're going to engage the lower back way too much, but you're also going to take the brunt of the force off of the abs. This next one is an ab extension that can be done either on a TRX machine or on a rope extension, rope cable just like this. The most important thing with this exercise to involve the serratus anterior is to make sure that you extend all the way. So you see how my lumbar region is actually overarching a little bit and my chest is puffing out. What that's doing is it's stretching out the serratus anterior so that I can get a peak contraction before I bring my abs into the equation. So you notice there's almost two portions to this movement. There's the extended back phase where I engage my serratus anterior, and then there's the tuck and roll phase where I'm engaging the rectus abdominis. I'm a big fan of engaging the rectus abdominis, the typical six-pack abs, along with the serratus because it creates a nice aesthetic look. This last exercise is called a hollow plank hold or a hollow plank pulse. Now you see I'm showing it in two different ways. You want to assume a traditional plank position on your hands and on your toes. And then you want to arch your back and sort of extend your scapula all while rolling onto the toes and slightly arching the back. I want you to visualize yourself being a cat that's stretching. If you've ever seen a cat arch, it's a perfect visualization for this exercise. Now you can go in a pulsating fashion when you sink back down to a traditional plank and then roll back up into this hollow plank position. You can pulse or you can simply hold. Engage the abs, engage the serratus. One thing you do not want to do is let the lower back collapse. That's a sign of your abs getting weak, and if your abs start to get weak, you're best off to just relax, give yourself a brief break, and then start again. Otherwise, you're putting too much tension on your lower back, and quite frankly, you're wasting your time and putting a lot of stress on your shoulders. So there you have it, guys. It's not your back that's weak. It's not the fact that you weigh too much. It's not the fact that your lats can't hold you up when you're doing a pull-up. It's simply those funky little muscles that are required to hold your shoulder girdle together. So as always, make sure you comment if you have any ideas for videos. Comment if you like this video, and make sure you keep it locked in here on SixPackAbs.com. I'm Thomas Delauer signing off, and I will see you in the next video.